you own an RV, winter is the season where small oversights can turn into four-figure repair bills. Most owners know the basics when putting their trailer away for the cold months. But what about the check valves or water pump diaphragm? These aren't the common mistakes you hear about online. They are the real, hidden winter problems that cost people the most money. And the frustrating part is how easy they are to prevent. So let's walk through the 10 winter RV mistakes that can drain your wallet fast. The first mistake is forgetting the city water check valve. This is one of the most overlooked pressure points in the entire RV water system. Even when everything else is winterized correctly, that little spring-loaded check valve behind the city water connection almost always holds a teaspoon or two of water. And that tiny bit of water freezes faster than anything else in the plumbing system. It cracks the plastic housing, breaks the spring, or splits the fitting inside the wall. Then, when spring comes and you hook up to city water, it leaks inside the wall cavity, soaking insulation, rotting vapor barriers, and leaving owners wondering why their storage bay smells musty. The repair is cheap if you catch it early, but most people don't. And when you don't, the bill jumps from a $50 part to $1,000 of water damage cleanup. The second mistake is letting snow pile up on slide toppers. Slide toppers look harmless, but they're basically stretch-tight fabric under constant tension. Even a couple of inches of wet snow becomes dozens of pounds sitting on that material. It stretches the fabric, ruins the roller mechanism, and in many cases, the added weight pulls water past the slide seals. When that thaw-freeze cycle repeats all winter long, you end up with stretched toppers, damaged seals, and moisture intrusion you won't notice until mold shows up in spring. Clearing snow off slide toppers sounds simple, but most owners don't check their RV weekly in storage, and that's where the expensive problems start. The third mistake is not treating the fuel in generators and motorhomes. Whether it's diesel in a Class A or gasoline in a portable generator, untreated winter fuel is a silent killer. Diesel can gel, gasoline can varnish, and small engines are especially sensitive to stale fuel sitting for months in cold temperatures. When spring comes around, the generator won't run, or it surges, or it dies under load. Most RVers assume the fix is something simple, but varnished carburetors, gelled injectors, or plugged filters add up fast. A bottle of fuel stabilizer or anti-gel additive costs a few dollars. Injector cleaning or carburetor rebuilds often cost hundreds. And on motorhomes, when fuel gel runs through the high-pressure pump, the repair bill can climb into the thousands. The fourth mistake is storing the RV with the nose too high or too low. This one feels harmless, but it causes very real structural problems. When an RV sits months in one position, water finds the lowest point, and it stays there. If the nose is too high, water pools at the back of the roof. Too low, and it pools at the front. Any pooling, even a quarter-inch deep, works its way under sealant during freeze-thaw cycles. Water expands when it freezes, and that expansion pushes under trim, into screw holes, and eventually behind the membrane. Over time, you end up with soft spots, bubbling membranes, or sidewall staining that reveals where the water tracked. Leveling the RV evenly or giving it a slight slope for proper drainage prevents all of it. But people don't think about roof angles during storage, and that's why this shows up every spring in repair shops. The fifth mistake is not purging the water pump diaphragm fully. A lot of RVers assume they've winterized the pump because they ran the antifreeze until it came out of every faucet. That doesn't actually purge the diaphragm itself. The diaphragm inside the pump has its own little cavity, and a small amount of water often gets trapped behind the valves. When that freezes, it doesn't always break the pump completely. Sometimes it just micro-cracks the diaphragm or damages the pressure switch. Then in spring, the pump won't hold pressure, or it chatters, or it keeps cycling when every faucet is closed. Most owners replace the pump without ever realizing why it failed. A simple step, removing the inlet line and letting the pump pull a shot of air, prevents the issue entirely. The sixth mistake is not winterizing the washer and dryer prep lines. Even if you don't have a washer or dryer installed, the capped hot and cold lines in the prep area are full of water. They're usually behind paneling or hidden in a cabinet, which means they freeze early and thaw late. When those capped lines crack, they don't start gushing immediately. They drip slowly behind walls and cabinetry, sometimes for months, until flooring or subfloor starts swelling. It's one of the sneakiest winter failures out there because you can do everything else right and still get nailed by those hidden stubs. Pumping antifreeze directly into the hot and cold prep lines solves it, but most people never even think to look for them. The seventh mistake is the ice maker water line freezing and cracking. This is a top 5 winter failure in service departments. The ice maker line is tiny, it runs through exterior walls, and it freezes long before any other part of the system. Even when the fridge is turned off, that line still holds water. When it cracks, the leak hides behind cabinets and isn't visible until the flooring buckles or you smell moisture. Repairing the line is easy. Repairing the damage behind it usually isn't. The eighth mistake is allowing the outdoor shower or spray port valve to freeze. Most owners remember to disconnect the hose, but they forget that the mixing valve inside the wall still holds water. That valve is almost always plastic. It cracks, splits, or pops the internal cartridge, and because it's inside the wall cavity, the leak is invisible. In spring, owners notice low pressure or water appearing in the storage bay, and by then, the insulation is soaked. This failure happens constantly, and it's one of the most commonly missed winterization steps. The ninth mistake is P-traps under the shower and sinks freezing and cracking. A P-trap holds water by design. It's literally a cup of standing water. If you don't remove that water or fill it with antifreeze, it freezes and expands. Kitchen traps are usually easy to get to, but shower traps often aren't. They're buried in foam, sealed under the coroplast, or tucked deep into the subfloor. When they crack, the water drips silently into the underbelly all winter, soaking insulation until it weighs as much as a wet mattress. By the time the owner detects it, the repair often involves cutting open the underbelly, replacing insulation, repairing vapor barriers, and installing a new trap. And finally, the 10th mistake is letting batteries freeze because they were left partially discharged. A fully charged battery doesn't freeze until temperatures hit extreme levels, but a half-charged battery can freeze around 20 degrees, and that is not uncommon in winter storage. A frozen battery swells, cracks its plates, and becomes permanently damaged. Often, owners don't realize the battery froze until they try to charge it, which can damage converters or inverters as well. This is a real expensive winter failure, and it happens every year because people disconnect their batteries, but forget to charge them first. A simple smart maintainer or monthly charge cycle prevents the entire problem. The truth is, winter is when small, hidden weak points turn into big, expensive repairs. A cracked check valve, a stretched slide topper, a frozen P-trap, or a damaged fuel system can all be prevented with a few minutes of attention before the temperature drops. A little winter prep now is always cheaper than discovering damage in April. If this helped you avoid a costly repair, give the video a thumbs up so more RVers can see it. And if you want more practical tips that keep your rig safe, warm, and ready for the road, subscribe to RV Pro Hacks. I'm Kyle, and we'll see you in the next one.